video about how I'm God and that. It's got to be starting with this video. Like, I'm gonna play 2 videos, and I'm gonna make you understand something.
So who's ready for some football? Well, it's almost fall time here in the States, and we're about to throw down. But before we do that, I want to revisit the amazing thing that God did this past year in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 51 between the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons. The game was just a few months ago, February 5th, 2017. And believe it or not, in that game, God miraculously confirmed the year of Jesus Christ's return to planet Earth, 2028. So it's just 11 years away now. You say, what? You're crazy, Gabe. There's no way God did that. Well, I made a video about it the very next day, revealing what God had told me about the game. But unbeknownst to me, I didn't cover everything that happened. So in the days following, in the comments section below the video, people started to point other things out. So I'm making this video today to cover everything about that game, to show you clearly how God declared the end is coming in the year 2028. But before we do that, I want you to understand this is not the first time God has done this, meaning use a high-profile football game to deliver a message. He did it back in 2012 in the famous John 3:16 game.
Sorry, no, what?
It was a first-round playoff game between the Denver Broncos and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Denver's quarterback was Tim Tebow, a very outspoken Christian, and God used him as the vehicle to deliver a message to mankind. Listen to Tebow tell what happened.
I want to ask you about one part of the book. When you talk about on your eye black, when you wrote 3:16 from the Bible, can you tell the people about the uncanny coincidence that happened in a press conference a few years later?
Yeah, well, we were playing for the national championship in college on January 8th, 2009, and I decided to wear John 3:16 under my eyes, and during the game, 94 million people Googled John 3:16, and it was a pretty cool moment. Well, exactly 3 years later, we happened to be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round of the playoffs when I was with the Denver Broncos, and I didn't even know that it was exactly 3 years later. It was January 8th, 2012, exactly 3 years later to the day. I just went out there and tried to do whatever I could to win a playoff game. And afterwards, I'm going into the press conference because I love talking to the media. And our PR guy jumps in front of me, says, "Timmy, did you realize what happened?" I was like, "Yeah, we just..."
On January the 8th, 2022, that's when I found out about this woman called Sister Marie Bernard, or Bernadette. It was in the Story of God by Morgan Freeman. It was in one of the episodes. There was a woman called Bernadette, and she claimed to be healed by the waters at Lourdes in France. And I learnt about all that story on January the 8th, 2022. And on the 7th of January 1844, that's when she was born. This woman who, she was 14 years old when she had these visions of the Virgin Mary. And then on January the 9th, it was when she was baptised. She was baptised on 1844 on the 9th of January. And also on the 9th of January, it was her parents, it was their anniversary for being married. And now he's saying, that's what happened to me on January the 8th, 2022. And he's saying what happened to him on January the 8th, 2012, exactly 10 years before.
"Just be the Steelers, we're going to play the Patriots." And he was like, "No, "Do you realize what happened?" I was like, "All right, Patrick, what's up?" He said, "It's exactly 3 years later from the day that you wore John 3:16 under your eyes." I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." He said, "No, I don't think you realize what happened. During the game, you threw for 316 yards. Your yards per rush were 3.16. Your yards per completion were 31.6. The ratings for the game were 31.6. And the time of possession was 31.6. And during the game, 90 million people had already Googled John 3:16, and it was the #1 trending thing on Facebook and Twitter. And a lot of people will say, it's coincidence. I say, big God.
So did you catch that? Here's a guy who's very outspoken about his faith. So much so that he liked to wear scripture verses in the eye black under his eyes when he quarterbacked. And he was good. He played college ball with the Florida Gators from 06 to 09. Won the Heisman Trophy as a sophomore in 07, the first sophomore to ever do that. And in 2009, in his senior year, he was in the BCS National Championship game, the Super Bowl of college, in his final college game. And in that game, he wore John 3:16 under his eyes. Big, very easy to see. And because of it, some 90 million people Googled John 3:16 during the game. Pretty cool, huh? But here's what Tebow didn't tell you. The very next year, college football banned writing messages on your eye paint. The rule was literally dubbed the Tebow rule. In other words, no more scripture verses. No more God's word. All right, so fast forward to 2012. 3 years later, and Tebow's now playing professional football with the Broncos. He starts the last 12 games of the regular season, and they squeak into the playoffs with an 8-8 record. And they got to play the 12-4 Steelers in the first round. Pittsburgh had the #1 defense in football that year. And Tebow throws for 316 yards. Exactly 316 yards. But not only that, he does it on just 10 completions for an average of 31.6 yards per catch. Do you see the John 3:16? I mean, it's bigger.
Yeah, that 10 phrase, I get that now.
Than Dallas. The stat was so obvious to everyone that immediately after the game, the pundits were talking about it. And guess what happened? John 3:16 became the #1 Googled search again. Well over 100 million people. God got his word out again through Tebow. They couldn't stop it. So you think this was just a coincidence? That Tebow threw for 316 yards? Well, let me tell you how remarkable it was. It's because Tebow really can't throw. He was only averaging 144 yards a game. The last game of the season, he threw for 60 yards. That's it. I mean, it was horrible. His best game of the season was only 236 yards. Friend, I'm telling you, it was an outright miracle that Tebow threw for 316 yards in a playoff game against the Steelers, the best defense in all of football. How did he do that? God. Only God. God wanted to deliver the John 3:16 message to the world again through Tebow. But then in the coming days, more facts and figures began to emerge from that game, proving God was really behind it. Pittsburgh's total time of offense was 31 minutes and 6 seconds. 3-1-6. The only interception thrown in the game was from Big Ben, Pittsburgh's quarterback. And it was a third down play with 16 yards to go. 3rd and 16. John 3:16. And in the final quarter of the game, the Nielsen ratings spiked to 31.6. Do you get the point? God's hand was all over that game. He was screaming John 3:16 to the world. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. I'm sure you've heard the verse before, but you...
He just says that it's supposed to be obey. A better translation is whoever obeys Jesus.
probably don't know what it means. Shoot, most preachers don't even know. So a quick plug. If you want to know the real truth behind that verse, watch our video entitled John 3:16, the real truth, like you've never heard before. All right, so now that you know God controlled a high-profile football game before to deliver a message, let's skip ahead to this year, February 5th, 2017, and let's talk about the Super Bowl that just took place. And I'm going to show you the miraculous way God declared the end is coming in 2028 through that game. But first of all, you need to know two things. God's been using two numbers to prophesy of his Son's return in the year 2028. He's using the number 28 and the full number 2028. And if you don't know how he's been doing this, visit the confirmations page on our 2028 End website and learn. I can't get into these things right now, but if you knew them, you'd really grasp what I'm about to tell you. So let's look at the game. The first thing to understand is this. It was another miracle game. Friend, God loves doing miracles. And he does them to prove he's behind it. It's so you would believe. So in the game, the Patriots got behind by a score of 28-3, well into the third quarter. I mean, it was over. In the video I uploaded the day after the game, I talk about how at that time I went to get a bath. What was the point in watching? The game was over. The Patriots couldn't stop Atlanta's offense, and they couldn't do anything with their own. It looked like the game was going to end about 42-10. That would have been my guess. But laying in the tub, a question formed in my mind. Because I knew God had been using the number 28 to prophesy the time of the end. And I knew the Falcons had a 28 on the board. So I wondered, God, are you going to use this game to tell of the end in 2028? But just as soon as the question formed in my mind, I swept it away as a crazy thought. I mean, that was impossible. Atlanta was easily going to score again, and the Patriots were never going to get to 28. So there'd be no 28 at the end of this game. Wow. Long story short, the impossible happened. The 60-minute game ended in a tie score of 28-28. It was unbelievable. It was a miracle. Two number 28s were sitting there on the board at the close of the 60-minute football game. And God instantly spoke to me. Son, when I speak something twice, it's a sure thing. And those two 28s are saying, the game of life is going to end in 2028. For just like a football game ends after 60 minutes, so too the game of life will end after 6,000 years, which will be 2028. Wow. So that's all I had. I knew God had spoken to me. So I uploaded my video about it the next day. And people really didn't get it. Well, remember how God did other things in Tebow's John 3:16 game to prove he was behind it? Well, all right. Here now is what else God did in this year's Super Bowl. For almost 20 minutes, the score of the game was 20-28. Literally written in that order on the TV. The Patriots score was first, on the left, a 20, followed by the Falcons score of 28. I mean, it was right there for all the world to see. 20-28. As the game was coming to an end and had a massive audience. I was even back watching at this time. Now think, the score could have been written the other way, 28-20. Falcons score first, followed by the Patriots. And then what I'm telling you wouldn't be true. But no. Patriots score was first, followed by the Falcons, 20-28. In fact, think of this. The game never even had to see that score. I can think of many other paths it could have taken to reach 28-28 at the end, having never seen 20-28 on the scoreboard. Understand? Then there's this. The touchdown drive that made the score 20-28 took the Patriots 2 minutes and 28 seconds. But it gets better. James White, the guy that scored the 2-point conversion on that touchdown, which officially made the score 20-28. Guess what his jersey number is? 28. So number 28 scored the 2-point conversion that made the game 20-28. Are you following this? Because there's more. In the final minute of the game, the Patriots scored another touchdown and 2-point conversion to tie the game at 28-28. And guess who scored that final touchdown? Number 28, James White. But there's more. In overtime, the Patriots got the ball first, and they went right down the field and scored the winning touchdown. Guess who scored that touchdown? Yeah, James White, number 28. Friend, the guy was almost unknown before the game. And now he's out there running around like a superhero, practically doing it all. Number 28 was ruling the game. And then there's this. Tom Brady threw for 466 yards in the game. A Super Bowl record. I mean, nobody's ever thrown for that many yards in a Super Bowl. And with all those yards passing, guess what his longest throw was? Yep, 28 yards. Oh, and guess who caught that pass? Yeah, number 28, James White. Listen, James White did so much in this game that even Tom Brady said afterward that he deserved the MVP Truck Award. Now, for Brady to say something like that, the greatest quarterback ever, that tells you how much James White, number 28, did in this game. He led the team with 14 catches, also a Super Bowl record, for 110 yards. He almost led the team in rushing with 29 yards on 6 carries. But it was LeGarrette Blount that got that honor with 31 yards on 11 carries. And guess what that averages to? 2.8 yards a rush. Listen to Tom Brady after the game.
Yeah. I think James White deserves it. Be nice for him. But, it took a real team effort. There were so many plays. I got back to my room last night and pretty late and was still pretty wired. So I watched the highlights and, you just, go through the sequence of all those plays and how many critical plays needed to be made. And the coach talks about situational football, and there was so much of that went on to score two-point plays like we did down 16 against, a great football team. And, it was just a great team performance. So I'm so proud to be a part of this team. We faced a lot of adversities over the course of the year and overcame it with a lot of mental toughness, and it was just a great way to really culminate the season. We've gotten to this game before and not finished it off the way that we wanted, and it took a kind of a miraculous effort to do it, and just so happy that we were able to get it accomplished.
Boy, is he ever right there. It took a miracle to do it. It took God. God's hand was all over the game. But I got one more stat to give you. And I literally just learned this while making this video. And this one just put me over the top. I mean, I'm freaking out. James White, number 28, the guy who was running around doing everything in the game, he scored a Super Bowl record 20 points. 20 points. 20 points from number 28. 28. It's a Super Bowl record. Do you understand? I mean, if it was commonplace for players to score 20 points a game, I could see your doubt. But no, it's never been done before. 20 points from one man in the Super Bowl. 20 points from number 28. 2028 end. The message was all over the game. So let me recap this. God puts two number 28s on the board at the end of the 60-minute football game to say twice, year 2028 will be the end of our 6,000-year game of life. The score of the game remained 20-28 for almost 20 minutes. Arguably the most valuable player of the game, James White, jersey number 28, put up 20 points. 20 points from number 28. 20-28. The drive that made the score of the game, 20-28, took 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Tom Brady's longest throw was 28 yards from a Super Bowl record of 466 yards passing, and it was caught by number 28. The Patriots' leading rusher averaged 2.8 yards a rush. I mean, I don't know how you can't see it. God is screaming, my son, Jesus Christ, is going to return, Feast of Trumpets, 2028. I wrote in my book back in 2008, almost 10 years ago now, in the God's Master Time Plan chapter, my spirit believes Jesus' second coming will occur in the year AD 2028, which places his death in AD 28. The book is entitled, Undeniable Biblical Proof Jesus Christ will return to planet Earth exactly 2,000 years after the year of his death. And in the book, I describe how God controlled the events and details of the ancient Bible stories, even the numbers, to deliver messages to mankind. And if you understood these things, you would know what I'm telling you about the Super Bowl is nothing new from God. It's what he does. You'd know why Noah was 600 years old when the flood hit. You'd know why Moses was 40 years old when he killed the Egyptian. You'd know why God wanted 3 levels built in the ark. You'd know why God used 7 days in the creation event. And on and on and on. But you don't know. So you remain ignorant. And sadly, most of you who are listening to me right now,
It's not true. I've got to get off this now. It's basically said anything about that. I've got to get to the next one. Oops, pressed the wrong button. I mean, got to go there. gonna be good. I got.
You know the sound. It means fire. Fire. Emergency. It's the frightening sounds of a fire truck. Well, a few months ago, March 2020, God revealed another confirmation he's done, proving his son, Jesus Christ, is going to return to earth in the year 2028. We call these 2028 end confirmations. And this confirmation involves the fire department right here in my small town of Donelson, Tennessee. As most of you already know, my name is Gabriel Ansley Erb, and I'm the guy that God gave the prophetic message to back in the year 2008 that Jesus Christ is going to return to earth during precisely the 2000th year after the year of his death. And that year will be 2028. And I wrote the message down in a book that same year, 2008.
I see, like, the last one had 23,000 views, and this one has 32,000 views, like, back to front.
Titled Undeniable Biblical Proof, Jesus Christ will return to planet Earth exactly 2,000 years after the year of his death. And since that time, God has been doing stunning 2020.
I'll just say, like, about, in 1990, I went to school, and, I went to school with, went to school with James White, and, there was only 85 people in my school, and James White was one of them, and I went around his house a few times. I was friends with him. So it's like, that's how it connects with me, James White, but then there's more, so you should watch this video.
28 end confirmations, proving my book's message is the truth. Jesus Christ really is going to return to planet Earth in the year 2028.
I mean, we went to school with James White until the year 2000, so we went to both primary school and high school.
He's been using two numbers to make these confirmations. The full number, 2028, and the shortened number, 28, both of which refer to the year 2028. Okay. Now, for you to fully understand this confirmation concerning my local fire department, you need to know what God had me writing in the book about fire back in 2008. On page 98, I wrote this: "Friend, make no mistake about it. The entire surface of planet Earth will be destroyed by fire during Jesus' second coming. And only one house of righteous souls will be saved from the annihilation."
Well, about this, like, I don't believe in that. I believe in, like, on fire just means, like, there's loads of enthusiasm. That's what it means to me.
Shocking.
Like, because I said in another video about this Super Nintendo game called NBA Jam, and like, if you score loads of points in a row, the ball goes on fire, because it's like lots are happening.
Huh? I know this isn't the popular teaching in church today,
Like, interest.
but they are greatly deceived. Peter made it crystal
Let me
clear
try
in
and find
2
it. It's probably going to take ages to find. What am I searching for? What's going on? This was made in 1993. Fuck. Just do this. After. Right. Let's try this one.
Welcome to Trippy Commentary.
Shots from the outside
Available for
This is
time was also.
it's pretty much a month.
I want to just go to that one. Something like that. Fucking hell, man. This is funny as shit. Fuck it. Get off. I had enough of this. Oh, what's that one? Oh, shit. What is this one? This one. This one's gonna be good. Oh no. Seen this all before. I can't do it. Anyway. Oh, shit, now where am I?
Second Peter 3:10. On the day Christ returns,
Did
like
you
a thief,
see that?
the entire earth will burn with
Did you see that? At 3:10, he said it. Didn't he say at 3:10? Why did he say 3:10? But when he said 3:10, it was 3 minutes and 10 seconds through the video. Look.
crystal clear in 2 Peter 3:10.
3:10,
On
he
the
says
day
it in
Christ
his head.
returns, like a thief,
Fucking hell, man.
the entire
It's
earth
mental.
will burn with fire. Nothing
Did you see that? It was 3:10 and he said 3:10. That's fucking mental. Peter 3:10. He said it at 3 minutes and 10 seconds through the video. It's crazy. I wouldn't have discovered that if it wasn't for me. Alright, let's play this.
Nothing will be left. The day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also, and the works that are therein, shall be burned up. So look, throughout the book I'm delivering this message. Even at the end in the Joshua chapter, on page 385, I was writing. There you have it. Everything was destroyed by fire, while only one house of souls was saved above the mayhem. It again could not have been a more perfect prophetic picture of Jesus' second coming, just like the stories of Noah and Lot. So there you go. Now you know God had me prophesying throughout the book the complete destruction of earth with fire at Christ's second coming, which I also prophesy in the book would be the year 2028. Oh.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, so what did I find out about my local fire department?
I don't think the world's going to be on fire like that.
March 4th, 2020. It's station number 28. That's right. There it is on the screen. I've been living in this small town of Donelson, Tennessee for 20 years now, and I never knew our local fire department is number 28. Is that not mind-blowing? God kept it from me. But honestly, look at the small writing on that building. How would I ever have noticed that? If I zoom back from the road, you can barely read it. Let me zoom in on it from above. Its address is 2394 Lebanon Pike. So there's the town of Donelson highlighted. And if you continue to zoom in, you'll see it's Nashville Fire Department, Station 28. That's Donelson's fire department. So if we back out and I show you Donelson again, I live over here, and the fire department is right over there. If we had a fire here at my house, you can rest assured it would be Station 28 coming out here to put it out. So how did we find this out? March 4th, 2020? My wife and I were at the intersection where the fire station sits, and she just happened to look over and see the writing on the brick wall. I about fell out when she told me, and I looked over and saw it. How could I have lived here in Donelson for 20 years, writing what I wrote in the book, Fire 2028, and never knew my fire department is Station 28? Mind-blowing. I got online and did some research about it. Nashville's fire department, NFD, has 41 stations. And Donelson is not only Fire Station 28, it's Engine 28, Truck 28, Medic 28, and District 28. Guys, my mind was blown. Everything about this town is number 28. Look at this map of Nashville's 41 stations. Of all those stations, how is it possible that I live in the town of Fire Station 28? See, Donelson? That's me. How can that be Fire Station 28? When again, I'm preaching Fire 2028. It's mind-blowing. I found the fire truck this past week, and I got behind it, and so I'll show you some of that video right now. You can see the 28 on the truck, on the back and on the side. So guys, this is my life now. I see the fire truck almost every day now. Why? Because I'm woke. I know the truth about it. And all the while I'm in here online, just like I've been for 12 years, delivering the prophetic message, Fire 2028. At Christ's return, Feast of Trumpets 2028, the entire surface of planet Earth is going to burn with fire. So God attached the number 28 to the fire company of this town, even before he ever moved me here. Guys, this blows my mind. This entire ministry has been done in this town. Everything. God moved me to this town in the year 2000. And 5 years later, in 2005, he put a shadowed profile of my dead dad's face on my refrigerator door on his birthday. This turned my life upside down. It turned me back to God. And then God awakened me on the Saturday Sabbath morning of December 8th, 2007, explaining to me his message behind the story of the Israelites' Exodus. He controlled to happen. Then I wrote the book in 2008, which contained that message and much more. Then all the online work, the videos, and the websites. Folks, I've been working on delivering this message to the world for the past 12 years of my life. It's just about all I do. And everything has happened in this small town of Donelson with Fire Company number 28. My mind is blown, guys. Jesus Christ is really going to return Feast of Trumpets 2028. But you say, so what, Gabe? So what that your town's fire department is number 28? Big deal. Yeah, but here's why it's a big deal. You need to couple that fact with all the other 2028 end confirmations God's been doing. You need to consider everything together. For example, when I received the 5,000 printed copies of my book, Undeniable Biblical Proof Jesus Christ Will Return to Planet Earth exactly 2,000 years after the year of his death, back in the year 2010, they arrived packaged 20 books in a box with a shipping weight of 28 pounds. 28. In other words, so God led me to write a book in 2008 with just enough pages per book, over 400 pages, so that when 20 of them were packaged in a box, they have a shipping weight of 28 pounds. That makes no sense. Why did that happen? And then there's this. In 2010, when all the online work was still in front of me, I prayed in earnest to God to please send me someone to help me with this work. Because I knew nothing about website creation, HTML coding, graphic work, video creation, and on and on. So just a few months later, after I got a very primitive website up online and the book for free read online, someone read it and they emailed me saying, God's leading me to create a whole 10 Love Commandment website for you, complete with a 10 Love Commandment logo, poster, and 10 Love Commandment items for them to get, to spread the message. Folks, I never thought of this. I was just going to make a website for the book. And so we worked together for over 2 years, creating all these things. And then in late 2013, he emails me and says, hey man, you know I was born in Canada. And in Canada, we have universal health care. So we're given a card number from birth for our health care. And guess what my card number is? The 10-digit number is broken into 4 digits, then a space, then 3 digits, then a space, then the last 3 digits. So guess what my first 4 digits are? 2028. So the one guy God sends me to help me with this whole ministry has 2028 attached to him from his birth back in the 1970s. Are you kidding me? And it just goes on and on, folks. Visit the confirmation pages on our 2028N website and go through them. Watch Alfred's Numbers in the Sun dream from 2013, where angels were chanting, Jesus is coming, as the number 28 was filling up the sun. And then there's my 20.
Yeah, alright, well, got to get off this page now and go to emails or whatever. How am I going to get off this page? I mean, you can watch that video somewhere else, but I want to get to this. Well, I don't need to go to this, I can just do it from memory, but I'm going to this. And, so yeah, I went to school with James White, and when I saw that Donelson video, I just connected it. I thought there must be a connect. It felt like, I wonder what the connection is between that football game and the discovery that his fire department is T, 20th letter of the alphabet, and 28. I just thought, because those two videos, they're both his confirmations for him, because I bet no one else was even thinking on the same lines as him when they watched the Super Bowl. And it was just him. They were like his two of his most awesome personal confirmations. And so I wondered if there's a connection between those two. And when he said March the 4th, 2020 is when he realised his fire department was 28. Like, it reminded me of the first girlfriend I'd had since I was 14. I stopped having girlfriends at 14, and the next girlfriend I had, I was 22 years old, so it was I was celibate for 8 years, and it was in December 2006, I was going out with this girl, and she was born on the 4th of March, and in American, 4th of March is like, you do 3.4.2020, and she was born in 1986, and I realised that, it was when he saw that 28 thing, it was my girlfriend's 34th birthday. Now let's go to, say, like, the first Super Bowl video, which was 5th of February 2017, and then the fire department realisation, which was the 4th of March 2020. I thought, wait a minute, that's like 3 years later. Like the John 3:16 thing it was exactly 3 years. It was exactly 3 years between those two dates. And then I wondered how much time was between the 2017 51st Super Bowl and the fire department thing, and I typed it in, and it was exactly 3 years and 28 days later he saw that fire department thing. And the thing about 3/28 is he was it was like like the score of the Super Bowl thing was 3/28, and then he went upstairs, or he went to have a bath or something, I can't remember, he went to have a bath, but when the score was 3/28, he's thinking that's game over. And then, so it was 3 years and 28 days between that football game and the, so the score was 3-28, and then it was 3 years and 28 days later, he saw that the fire department is 28, so that was a thing. And then about my girlfriend, the first girlfriend I'd had as an adult, the first girlfriend I had since I became God into the year 2000, or that God's spirit came into this body in the year 2000, or that my spirit came into this body in 2000, but I got 4 spirits. And one's the devil, and one's God, and one's Martin Luther King, and then one's me, who I was born with, like the ninth God or whatever. Yeah, so she was born on the 4th of March 1986, and it was her 34th birthday on the day that he saw that the fire department he was at, the town he was at was home to the 28 fire department thing, number 28, and in that football game with James White, the final score was 34-28, so it's like the 3rd or the 4th kind of thing, and her 34th birthday was on the 3rd or 4th on that day. So that was that things. So that was that.